Welcome back to Lori Gerber, the video where dating does not come with an expiration date. I am Lori Gerber, your host, dating coach, truth teller, and firm believer that dating over 50 can be the best chapter yet. Yes, it gets better. That's what I think. If you've been following along, you already know about the 3 method. That is, you are to tune into all 3 of your internal voters when it comes to love and dating. Your head, your heart, and your hoo-ha or the heat. And you know how powerful it is when all 3 H's say yes. But today, we're not going to be talking about what you do want. We're going to be talking about what you don't want. Because if you're like most women over 50 that are back in the dating scene, you are still making a few classic dating mistakes that silence 1 or more of the 3 voters, possibly all 3. And I'm going to cover 5 of the biggest mistakes that women make. In fact, people of all genders make. I think you'll find yourself, even if you've snuck into our community, being of another gender or age group. But we're going to cover the 5 biggest mistakes that kill the 3H alignment. And we're going to talk about how to avoid those mistakes starting right now. You're going to learn why saying yes rather than no frazzles the system of all 3 of your internal voters. You are going to hear why skipping the video chat costs you time, patience, and your good spirits. Can't afford that. And you're going to discover the truth about texting, when to do it and when not to do it. That is one of the biggest mistakes women make. You can't be happy in dating or in long-term love unless all 3 internal voters are satisfied. Your head needs the relationship to make sense, to be practical, for your lifestyles to align, for your dreams to intersect well, for your goals to synergize. Your heart needs to feel emotionally connected, fulfilled. That's where romance happens. That's where great communication and honesty happen. Affection and cuddles, your joint love of music or humor, that's the heart. And then the hoo-ha needs attraction. Plain and simple, you have to want to kiss the person. And so when one of those voices gets ignored, the whole system breaks down. And I'm going to go one by one into the 5 biggest mistakes that women make that kill the 3 alignment. The first mistake is saying yes when you mean no. So when you say yes, when inside yourself, your brain, your heart, or your hoo-ha is saying no, everything frazzles. If you are at a 6 or above on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm not talking to you, okay? A 6 or above is with a good potential for passing the test. I'm talking about 6 or below, okay? So if you're 6 or above, you're doing your spark questions, which we talked about in a past episode, and you have your high hopes in hand, please proceed. But if numbers dip below a 6, or just start going down on day 2 or 3, in other words, if you cannot get your head, your heart, or your hoo-ha on board, you must abort the mission. The number 1 mistake women make, if we have to boil it down, is staying too long in the wrong relationship. Saying yes when you mean no, or acting in a way that implies yes when it's really no. It doesn't make you kind. It doesn't make you open-minded to be dating somebody that you're not that into. That is, that doesn't fit your 3H criteria. It's actually cruel. I can't tell you how many times I've heard the excuses that people make. They say, I don't want to be mean. I don't want to hurt their feelings. I should give him a chance. But there's so much to like about him. There's so many things that are working. So you think you're being nice and kind, but when you know deep down inside, you're just delaying the breakup. And I'm telling you, when it all comes out in the end, men do not appreciate their time being wasted. And you're not going to appreciate your time being wasted. And let me tell you something else about most men. They take it much less personally when you break up with them early on, because then they know it's not really about them, their deep down personality. It's about something that just isn't a match. So I know it's really hard to do, but I'm encouraging you to make that determination before date 3. I say this over and over again so that when you have to say no to someone, when you have to reject someone, which will be the topic of next episode, it is much easier on the person you're rejecting, much easier on you, and it saves everybody time, everybody energy, and it saves everybody hope, because it continues to help a person believe that the right person is coming along. If you get stuck for too long with the wrong people over and over again, it makes you cynical. It diminishes your hope. So you're actually helping someone have hope in their future by doing this determination earlier, and by saying no when you mean no, and not saying yes when you mean no. I hope that's clear. Mistake number 2, going on a live physical date before a video vet. Now, I could talk for hours about the brilliance, the ginormous hack that having a video chat before you go on a live date with someone is, but I'm going to focus first on just telling you the pitfall of jumping into a live date too quickly. All of you have probably had the experience where someone's very eager to meet you in person before you may be ready. This happens a lot online. Mostly people who push for physical contact before you get to know each other are more focused on physical intimacy than they are to getting to know you and to 3H alignment. And let me say this even more straightforward. Men know this is a generalization. I apologize to all the good guys out there. Men know that if they can meet you in person, maybe put a few drinks in you, they are more likely to go home with you or get you to go home with them. That is sex. It's a sales trick, right? We all know that in-person meetings cause more closings. And I'm sorry to be so stark and so crass about it. I hope I'm not offending anyone, but this is just a fact. If someone's pushing too hard to see you in person, there's one of two reasons. One, they want to get physical sooner. Or two, they don't think they make a good impression over text or over the phone or in video, and they think they will make a better impression in person. No problem. I want you to see people in person, just not faster than you want to. So, if someone's pressuring you and if you go see them before you are ready, it can really work against you staying faithful to your 3H chart and learning slowly but surely everything you need to know in order to fill that chart out properly and know if someone's a match. And especially if you're drinking, and especially if you find the person attractive, that's when the 3H chart goes out the window and all of our hard work doesn't get to pay off. So, if you want to stay in control, take it slow and ask for what you want. And if he wants something different, that's okay. Totally fine. If he wants to go physical faster or he doesn't want to do a video chat, that's fine. He's just not the person for you. Now I want to walk you through how and when to ask for the video chat. I want it to be sweet. I want it to be light. I want it to be low pressure. So the reason to ask for a video chat is this. You've looked at a profile. You've gotten to know someone online. You've been texting for a week or two. You're getting to know each other. No head criteria have turned red. No deal breakers have occurred. You are having a good rapport. You're building a banter. You're getting to know each other. You're asking your head questions. And you like it. You're at a 6 or above in Hey in terms of how they are behaving and how they look in their pictures. And you're at a 6 or above in heart. You feel trust. You feel affinity. And they haven't said anything. Clears throat. They haven't said anything to destroy your peace of mind when it comes to will it be a practical match. So at that point, 1 or 2 weeks in, you will say, it has been a pleasure getting to know you. I think it's a possibility that we could be a romantic match. Before we meet in person, I would love to hop on a 10-minute video chat just to see how our chemistry is. I almost want you to use that exactly verbatim. And I know it's really hard to be that honest, but that is honestly what the video chat is for. It is honestly for checking how the chemistry is once you see each other physically. Now that's the first real great purpose of the video chat, but it also has a couple of other really good purposes. You're going to find out what the person really looks like. You're going to find out what they lied about in their profile. You're going to find out if their life is put together enough to engage in a video chat with you. In other words, can they find a quiet, peaceful place? What does the background look like? Are they technically savvy enough to get on a video chat with you? All of these are really important little details. But the last most important thing you're going to find out by asking that nicely and that sweetly for a 10-minute video chat is you're going to find out how into you they are, how much they want you to trust them. That's what you're going to really find out by asking for the video chat. So if they're not that into you, they will very possibly disappear when you ask for the video chat. And you know what I have to say about that? Good. Bye-bye. We didn't need you anyway. So, if that clears them away because they're scared to face you and show you what they lied about in their profile, or they're just not that into you, or they just literally can't get it together, all of those things equal dodging a bullet, in my opinion, for you. So, here are the responses you may get. First response would be great. Should we use the app? Should we use Google? Should we use FaceTime? You'll see you'll often get a very positive response if things are going well. But you also might hear, I can't. I have technical issues. I'm traveling. Fine. You can give them a week or two to figure that out. but not more. You might hear, "Why don't you trust me? I really prefer in person. Can't we just hop on the phone?" All the way to, and I recently heard this one, "That's stupid." So, depending on what a person's hiding or how defensive they may be, you might get insulted when you ask for this video chat. And I want to warn you of that. I want to have you brace yourselves and not take that personally. You're getting information about this person that you wouldn't normally get, and that's good. And the last possible response you're going to get is ghosting. The person will just disappear and stop texting you. That's how you for sure know that you dodged a bullet and that they don't want you to actually see what they look like. They were either using you for entertainment or therapy because they enjoyed the conversations that you were having, or they were interested in getting physical much more quickly than you obviously are going to end up being. So, those are things you want to find out. And asking for that video chat after 1 to 2 weeks of good texting back and forth is the way to do that. Remember, you're looking for healthy, lasting love. My definition of love is caring about the other person's experience as much as you care about your own experience, right? If you care only about the other person's experience, that's codependence. If you care only about yours, that's selfishness or narcissism. So it's this balance between caring about your own experience and caring about the other person's experience. So if you encounter a man who does not seem to care about your experience, who does not seem to care that you would like to test the chemistry before you get together, who doesn't seem to care that you want to feel a little more safe or a little more like this is a good bet, use of your time, that's very telling, right? That is not a loving response on his part. But I might add this is good for him too, because he should also not be wasting his time, money, momentum on having a dud date with you if you don't look like he thinks you look, or you're not exactly the gal he thought you were. So checking this chemistry is actually good for both parties. And I wonder when someone doesn't understand that. But all of that said, the test of asking and how someone responds is excellent, excellent education. You want the person to show their cards because you will learn a lot. So the rule is video chat before live date under every circumstance. I have not heard of a good circumstance yet to skip it. The goal is to see if there's mutual attraction, to see what the other person really looks like, to see if the conversation flow is still good before you spend your money, your time, you do yourself up extra special on a real life date. If your head, heart, and hoo-ha are still a resounding yes, obviously proceed to a date. If you ask me out, I'd say yes, and if it's a no, trust that. It's perfect to end a video chat. Great to meet you. I have to run. And then send a sweet text afterwards and let them know it is not a romantic match. You just saved yourself a very disappointing date and possibly an increase of your own cynicism. Next week, we're going to talk all about rejection, how to do it, how to handle it when it happens to you. So don't worry if you're thinking, I don't think I can handle the rejection part. We are ready for mistake number 3, which is texting too much too soon. I can't tell you how many times I hear, we talked about blah, 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 blah. And I have to say, did you talk about blah, 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 or did you text about it? Because texting and talking are not the same thing. And nowadays, people actually say talking when they mean texting. Now, texting has an excellent purpose at the very beginning of getting to know someone online. Very, very important purpose, which is to get your head questions answered and to build some rapport. It feels safe, it feels flirty, it feels convenient, and sometimes people get carried away and want to do it for a really long time. They're actually more comfortable building sort of more of a fantasy, which is more possible when you're just texting and not really testing in reality. Is this person good for me? So texting starts to create a false sense of connection before you've tested compatibility. And I do hate to say this, but there are people out there who are lonely, who are actually not ready to date, not ready for relationship, but need to practice. They need to be entertained. They need to feel less lonely. They need therapy perhaps, or a substitute for therapy. And they are using conversations on dating sites for that. Probably not even on purpose, okay? So don't be offended by it, but it can be very confusing and it can waste a lot of your time if you end up in these text relationships with people that you're not moving closer to actually going on dates with. So, hence, after 2 weeks at the most, you ask for a video chat, separate the men from the boys, see who's serious, and see who's ready to actually date, not just chat on text. And again, if they want to meet you too soon, that's fishy. But also, if they want to wait forever to meet you, equally fishy. If you want a pen pal, there are other sites for that. Please don't use the dating sites for that. If you want a potential partner for long-term, move things along. Again, funny banter is fine. Common interest. You're developing rapport. You're asking questions. You're ruling out deal breakers. And you are flirting for sure. The texting stage is when you would ask things like, how do you spend your time? What do you do? How was the last election for you? That is not what texting is for. It's too easy to misunderstand the tone when it's only writing. And body language counts for so much, which is why the video chat is the great next step for you. And obviously in person is where you want to do your deep topics. Mistake number 4. Sorry for my old-fashioned phrasing here, but it's putting out too early. That is having sex before it's really right to do so for you at heart. Unfortunately, as women, we have many reasons to have sex, and some of them are not that good for us. Oftentimes, we can think that sex will make us appear more serious, that it will win someone over, that we need to test the chemistry before we know if we can proceed with someone. But what I have found from my 20 years of coaching people in dating is that nobody ever regrets waiting. And that even includes men. And if someone's truly into you, head, heart, and hoo-ha, waiting will make it hotter, not colder. Isn't that great news? It actually builds the intrigue. It builds the comfort level, and it can be actually excellent for your relationship. I waited 6 months to have sex with my husband, and it was awesome. One of the best decisions I ever made. If you're trying to make someone like you by having sexual involvement or sexual intercourse sooner, you might get the sex. You might even get good sex. It's possible. But not probably the relationship that you want, because you're going to be releasing the bonding hormones at the wrong time for you. And that then makes it harder to walk away as well if the person turns out not to be right for you, which is certainly very probable if you haven't done all your 3H work. If you're looking for your forever partner, my suggestion is that you keep sex off the table entirely until all 3H's are singing the happiest of tunes on both sides. In other words, you're both clear on what you want, head, heart, and hoo-ha. You've talked about it. You fulfill each other's criteria. You've talked about liabilities. You can handle them. And you've agreed to be monogamous or at least mutually exclusive. In other words, maybe you're not committing to being together forever, but you are committing that if you start to have sex, it'll be only with one another for that period of time. That's what I suggest if you're looking for lasting love, your long-term partner, especially for those of us over 50. Many of us women have a really hard time seeing more than one person at a time, and certainly having sex with more than one person at a time. And a lot of men have problems with it too. So, it is the safest route to agree. We're just going to be with each other right now as we explore our sex life. I'm not comfortable having sex until that time, and until we've seen each other's STI results, until we've talked about our sexual history, our sexual health, we kind of know a little bit about what each other likes or wants. All of that is just best practice to actually have a good experience sexually, not just best practice to keep yourself safe and to keep yourself less likely to pick the wrong person. It's really hard promise to keep, but I think you will be very glad you did. And every woman I've ever coached who does keep that promise ends up being much more successful at finding their person more quickly and with less heartache. And for the record, I have zero moral judgment about sex at any stage. Truly, I am just coaching emotional safety, efficiency, and the largest quantity of joy I can possibly deliver for you. And again, we're going to talk about how to establish monogamy in a later conversation, and how to talk about sexual health. All of that is coming soon to a theater near you. For right now, let's just move on to mistake number 5, which is faking anything to make someone like you. Faking anything. You are looking for your person, you're one. And if you are looking for your person, that person has to fall in love with the real you, or what's the point? So if you pretend to be someone that you're not in order to win the love of somebody, you're going to end up trapped with a version of yourself that doesn't feel good, doesn't feel you. You've tricked them. You're now stuck having to perform, and it's exhausting and debilitating and bows up in your face eventually. So don't pretend to be low maintenance if you're not. Don't fake interest in a hobby or a type of music. Don't shrink to fit in. Don't conform to something. Your true self is what is going to be attractive to someone else, and also what's going to scare away a person who's not right for you. So please do not be penny-wise, pound-foolish and pretend to be something you're not. I remember coaching a woman named Jill a few years ago, and she told me that she faked liking a certain type of music on her first or second date. And the better you know yourself, what you have to offer in terms of practicality and being a great partner, what you have to offer in terms of relating and emotions, and what you have to offer as a sexual being and as a beautiful person, we're going to really hone in on that so you can feel really great about who you are. You're not for everybody, but you're great, and the right person will see that in you. So we're going to get very, very into that in a very, very upcoming session. Okay, hold me to that, please, if I forget. So here's your assignment. Review this list of 5 greatest mistakes, biggest mistakes people make, and determine which ones you have made in the past or might be susceptible to making in the future. If you haven't been dating in a long time, you might have to use some conjecture. When you follow these simple rules that I have laid out, dating becomes lighter, clearer, and actually more fun because all of you, all 3 ages, are now voting yes. Next week, we're going to talk about rejection. I know I keep promising you we're going to tackle it. This time, I mean it. Next week, we're going to talk about how to receive rejection with grace and how to give it with grace. These are 2 sets of fears people have when they think about going into dating that can limit the fun, limit the excitement, and sometimes take dating off the table entirely because we're so scared of those things. So I'm going to teach you how to get confident in both giving and receiving rejection. It's part of the situation. So we've got to get into it. I want you back out on the dating scene, playing with your fears to the side, and every single episode is aimed at that. Next week, we'll be tackling rejection. Don't miss it. You just listen to Love at Any Age, where I help women over 50 unlock love with real tools, bold truth, and zero fluff. If you are ready to stop repeating the same mistakes and start choosing a head, heart, and hoo-ha match, I want you to go hurry and watch my free webinar while it is still free. It is called The 3 Secrets to Finding and Maintaining Healthy Love Without Repeated Disappointments. And if this video resonated, if you picked up any good tip on a mistake to avoid, please comment down from where are you watching me. Give me a score. Follow me, subscribe, share on social media. Please tell anyone you know who is thinking of dating or in early relationship. This is the place to come for hope and inspiration because love does not come with an expiration date, and you deserve to believe that. See you next in next video. I will be back with you soon.